continue now at the top of Daf Ches Amud Aleph from Meseches Yoma. This is Yoma Daf 8a. On the previous Amud, there was a machlokas between Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yehuda, whether the tzitz is maratza only when the Kohen Gadol is wearing it, or the tzitz is maratza all the time. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the tzitz is only maratza when the Kohen Gadol is wearing it. Rabbi Shimon says that the tzitz is maratza tamid all the time. The question was, what does Rabbi Yehuda do with the word tamid? So the Gemara says we learn out from the word tamid that you can't have a hesach hadas, and that's true by tefillin as well. The Gemara learns it out from tzitz. So the Gemara says, umat tzitz, she'ein bo ela azkara achas, if the tzitz, which only has Hashem's name written once, Amr Torah, the Torah says, al metzcho tamid, it has to be on his forehead all the time, meaning, shelo yasiach daitu mimenu, meaning the Kohen Gadol cannot have a hesach hadas when he's wearing the tzitz. He can't have a hesach hadas. He can't stop paying attention to the fact that he's wearing the tzitz. So tefillin, when it comes to tefillin, sheyesh bohen azkaras harbe, which has many names of Hashem in them, alachas kama v'kama, certainly there cannot be a hesach hadas when a person is wearing tefillin. And the Gemara continues, Ul Rabbi Shimon do Amar Tamid Maratza. Now, according to Rabbi Shimon, who says that tzitz is always maratza, whether or not the Kohen Gadol is wearing it, v'haksiv al metzcho v'nasa, doesn't it say it's only when the tzitz is on the Kohen Gadol's forehead that it carries the sin that it's maratza? So the Gemara says, no, that's simply to say where the tzitz is placed. The pasuk is saying the Kohen Gadol should put it on his forehead. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, where does he learn out the place where the tzitz is supposed to rest? So the Gemara says, Nafkale me al metzcho, that he learns out from al metzcho. But in other words, you don't need the al metzcho v'nasa. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Shimon nami tepikle me al metzcho. But 1 second, according to Rabbi Shimon also, you might as well learn out from al metzcho. So the Gemara says, "En enachinami." You're right. They all learn it out from al metzcho. You don't. The al metzcho v'nasa must come to teach you something else. And again, according to Rabbi Yehuda, al metzcho v'nasa teaches that it's only meratza when it's on his forehead. But what does Rabbi Shimon do with that? Ela al metzcho v'nasa ma'avidle. According to Rabbi Shimon, what does he do with al metzcho v'nasa? So Amar Loch. So Rabbi Shimon will say to you, Ro'oi lemetzach meratza. If it's fit to go on the Kohen Gadol's forehead, meaning it's not broken, so then it's going to be meratza. She'eino roy lemetzach. But if it's not fit to go on his forehead, eino meratza, it's not going to be meratza. La'afuke nishbar hatzitz de lo meratza. To exclude a situation where the tzitz is broken, in that case, Rabbi Shimon will say it's not meratza. Ul Rabbi Yehuda nishbar hatzitz menole. Now, according to Rabbi Yehuda, where does he learn out if the tzitz is broken that it's not meratza? So nafgolei mi meitzach metzcho. He learns it out. It could have said meitzach. It says metzcho. That teaches us that if it's broken, it's a problem. For Rabbi Shimon, meitzach metzcho lo mashmale. And according to Rabbi Shimon, he doesn't make a drush out of the difference between meitzach and metzcho is not enough to make a drasha. And the Gemara continues, Neima hani tanoi kahani tanoi. Let's say this machlokas tanaim that we quoted earlier a machlokas, whether we say tumah is dechuya b'tzibor or whether we say tumah is hutra b'tzibor. Let's say it's the same as the following machlokas tanaim we find in the Brisa. The Tanya we learned in the Brisa, echad zeh v'echad zeh, whether you're talking about the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur, whether you're talking about the Kohen who is burning the Parah Aduma, mazin olav kol shiva. So all 7 days that we're separating the Kohen, we sprinkle the mechatos, mikol chatos shahayusham, from all the various mechatos that are there in the Beis HaMikdash. Divrei Rabbi Meir, that's the opinion of Rabbi Meir. In other words, Rabbi Meir is saying we sprinkle every day in case the person was tamei meis before that 7-day period, so then we sprinkle every day. Maybe each day is either the 3rd or the 7th day from when the person became tamei meis, so we sprinkle every day to purify the Kohen. Rabbi Yossi says, Ein ma'azin olav el shlishi u'shvi bilvad. Rabbi Yossi says you don't do a hazah, you don't sprinkle every single day, you do it on the 3rd day and the 7th day. In other words, you assume the tumah came right at the beginning, right before the separation, but you don't have to do it every day. Rabbi Chanina Skan HaKohanim says, Kohen hasoref es hapara mazin olav kol shiva. When it comes to the Kohen who's burning the Parah Aduma, in that case, we sprinkle all 7 days. But Kohen Gadol b'Yom HaKippurim, when it comes to the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur, ein mazin olav el shlishi u'shvi. You only do the sprinkling on the 3rd and the 7th day. In other words, Rabbi Chanina Skan HaKohanim makes a distinction between the Kohen by the Parah Aduma and the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur. So the Gemara now says, my lav, is it not that this is exactly what the machlokas is? Rabbi Meir savar tumah dechuya hi betzibur. Rabbi Meir holds that tumah is dechuya betzibur. It's not something we really would do lechatchila, and therefore Rabbi Meir is strict and says we have to sprinkle every single day. For Rabbi Yossi savar tumah heter hi betzibur or tumah hutra betzibur. Rabbi Yossi holds that tumah is totally permissible when you have a carbon tzibur. Therefore, there's no need to be so strict. You don't have to sprinkle every day. But the Gemara says that doesn't make sense. V'tizbur, is that logical? Isavar Rabbi Yossi heter hi betzibur. If Rabbi Yossi held that tumah is hutra betzibur, hazah klal lamali. What do you need to sprinkle it all for? Who cares if the Kohen Gadol is tummy? It doesn't make a difference. So Ella dekuli alma hani tanoi savri tuma dechuya betzibur. So rather, the Gemara says these tanoim all hold that tuma is dechuya betzibur. Obviously, when it comes to doing carbon tzibur, we'd prefer not to do it betuma, and that's why all of these tanoim agree there's some kind of sprinkling going on. The hacha b'haka meflugi in the machlokas over here is as follows. Rabbi Meir holds amrinon tvila bizmana mitzvah, that it is a mitzvah to do tvila at the proper time. Rabbi Yossi savar lo amrinon tvila bizmana mitzvah, and Rabbi Yossi says it's not a big deal if you don't do the tvila at the proper time. Therefore, Rabbi Meir says do it every day so that you're going to do the sprinkling at the right time on the third and seventh day. Rabbi Yossi says it's not such a big deal. Just do it on the actual third and the actual seventh day, even if that's not exactly the right time. It's not going to be a problem. Now, Rashi over here explains, Tvila bizmana mitzvah dichsiv. Where would we learn out that the immersion at the proper time is a mitzvah? Because the pasuk says, V'chito bayom hashvi v'chibas begadav v'rachatz lo bazeh el lalamid al hatvila shetehei bayom hashvi. Pasuk is teaching us that the tvila needs to be on the seventh day. What about the sprinkling? When it comes to the sprinkling as well, that's compared to the tvila, lios mitzvah bismana, that you should do it at the proper time. Hilkoch kol yoma mazinon aleh. That's why they say every single day you should do the hazah, shema hayom zmana. Maybe today is the proper time. And the other opinion says, Lo amrin and tvila bismana mitzvah. We don't say it's a mitzvah to do it in the proper time. You look at Meseches Kedushin, they darshan the word v'chito. So in any case, that's actually the machlokas Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Meir says tvila bismana is a mitzvah, and Rabbi Yossi says tvila bismana is not a mitzvah. So the Gemara continues, V'sava Rabbi Yossi lo amrinon tvila bismana mitzvah. Does Rabbi Yossi really hold that we don't say that tvila bismana is a mitzvah? V'atanya, but we learned in a brisa. Let's say the name of Hashem is written on a person's flesh, on a person's skin. Person shouldn't bathe, person shouldn't anoint with oil, person shouldn't stand in a dirty area. You don't want to erase the name of Hashem. You don't want to take the name of Hashem to an area that's not proper. Now, what if it occurs that the person needs to immerse himself for mitzvah purposes? What should he do? He has the name of Hashem on his skin. So korech olav gami v'tovel. He should take a little reed, tie it around, cover up the name of Hashem, and immerse. Rabbi Yossi says, Yored v'tovel kedarko. He should go in, he should immerse the normal way. Just make sure that he doesn't rub it. So the Gemara says, we have established that this machlokas in the Brisa is actually about tvila bismana. The Tanakama savar lo amrin on tvila bismana mitzvah. The Tanakama holds that we don't say tvila bismana is a mitzvah. Rabbi Yossi savar amrin on tvila bismana mitzvah, and Rabbi Yossi holds we do say tvila bismana mitzvah. Now the idea over here is, according to the Tanakama, you need to look. Let's say you don't have a gemi, you need to look around for one, even if that means you're not going to do the tvila bismana. Better to cover up the name of Hashem, because the Tanakama holds tvila bismana is not a mitzvah. Rabbi Yossi says no. If you can't find the gemi, do the tvila at the proper time, because Rabbi Yossi holds tvila bismana is a mitzvah. Now that contradicts what we just said before. We just said before Rabbi Yossi holds tvila bismana is not a mitzvah. It's a contradiction within Rabbi Yossi. So the Gemara tries another explanation of the machlokas Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yossi. Everybody agrees, according to these Tanoim, everyone agrees tvila bismana is a mitzvah. The machlokas over here is as follows. Rabbi Meir savar makshinon hazah letvila. Rabbi Meir holds we compare the hazah to the tvila, meaning the sprinkling, just like the tvila is also a mitzvah to do it at the proper time. That's why, again, Rabbi Meir says you do the hazah every single day of the 7 days. For Rabbi Yossi savar, Rabbi Yossi holds lo makshinon hazah letvila. We don't compare hazah to tvila, and therefore the hazah does not need to take place on the proper time. So you just do a hazah on the 3rd day and on the 7th day. Rabbi Chanina Skan HaKohanim. So now the Gemara asks, okay, so what's the opinion of Rabbi Chanina Skan HaKohanim? How do we explain that? Imakish hazah letvila. If he compares hazah to tvila, afilu kohen b'yom kippurim nami. Even the kohen gadol on Yom Kippur should also do it every single day. And ilo makish hazah letvila. If he doesn't compare hazah to tvila, afilu kohen asoref hasaporin nami lo. Even the kohen who burns the parah aduma, why should he be so strict? So the Gemara. So in other words, why does he make a distinction between the kohen that burns the parah aduma and the kohen gadol on Yom Kippur? So the Gemara says, Liolam lo makish. Really, he does not compare. You don't have to do hazah bizmana. The Kohen, hasaref hasapara, maila bialma. When it comes to the Kohen that burns the parah aduma, we just do an extra stringency. We want to be a little extra strict there, so we do the hazah every day, but it's really not necessary. The Gemara continues, Keman oz lohadaton rabbanon. How does the following that the rabbis taught, how does it follow? Who does it follow? Ein bein kohen asarif asapar lekohen gadol b'yom kippurim. It says over here in the Brisa, there's no difference between a kohen that burns the parah aduma and the kohen gadol on Yom Kippur, elo, except for the following difference. And we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Ches Amud Beis.